people go back to it every morning.
Yeah, well, that's another fascinating thing as well, is that people talk about a vegan diet or a raw vegan diet as being deficient, and yet if you look at things like cereals, they are completely full of fortified vitamins and minerals and things like that, because the standard diet is really so deficient in all these things. But yes, there is sugar in so many things. When you try and give up anything, you start to realise how prevalent it is. Almost all foods in society are either flavoured with sugar or salt.
Do you never
almost
sit back
everything.
to sort of having a bit of something nice?
Sugar, not.
Cake or
That's been so long ago. You know, I mean, I've definitely had maybe like orange juice that had sugar in it and things like that I didn't mean to do. But sugar for me is really has an effect of like depression almost. I mean, it's a really strong. So that's why I kind of keep away from some of these things, because I realised the effect it was having. That often when if I had sugar the next day, I would feel this depression state that I like this excess state. Have you ever? Yeah, like
even doctors though will suggest I went to the doctor, I had an operation and I was anemic, and I went to the doctor and they suggested that I had cereal with fortified. They would go out and buy cereal and eat cereal in the morning because that would give you running.
Yeah, well that's.
Would they not suggest that you go for
fruits and vegetables or anything like that?
It's a business after all. The government create a problem and then they capitalise on it instead of making people well. They create problems and then
but I look at it that way, but I also look at it that we all have to take some responsibility, because, as I say, the majority of people, not everyone, but there's a huge section of people that just want to go in there and get the pills. You know, they don't want to change anything. My brother is a doctor, and he told me that every day they have people coming in that get operations to remove limbs, you know, like get the legs cut off or whatever, because of smoking and diabetes and things like that. And he says they come out of the operation the next day they're smoking again. You know, these people a lot of people are not going to change, unfortunately, and that's what doctors have to deal with. If they gave them this kind of information, most people would not accept it and probably wouldn't change. And so it's a hard balance. I don't really blame the doctors or the nurses or anything like that. There's a lot of people that simply do not want to make a change, and to get this information out to people, maybe when they're younger, maybe more, because from what I've learned, from what I've seen, the problems that the standard diet causes can be so immense, and as I say, for certain people, much, much worse, because they might get a chronic condition like a multiple sclerosis, like arthritis, like things like that are really debilitating for people over a lifetime.
So if you give up sugar, would you say you could still eat honey?
I personally don't eat honey. I mean, I've never really enjoyed honey.
Can you replace it with other things, or is that just
sugar? Well, you can. I don't think sugar's the worst thing. You know that sugar for me. Yeah, sugar for me. I mean, I would say obviously you would change it to fruit, but fruit doesn't give you that sugar high in the same way that sugar does. So I would just say change to eating more fruit or more carbohydrates to replace it. But sugar, I think in our society today, people look at sugar as if it's the evil thing and the bad thing and the worst thing. And
it's the hidden sugars, isn't it?
yeah, there's a lot of hidden sugars. Well, this is the
tins of tomatoes and
yeah.
You wouldn't think.
Well, but the argument is always the idea that we promoted a low-fat diet years ago, and then they started adding more sugar to products because they reduced the fat, and that people have got sicker. And it's not really true. People still eat a high-fat diet. People still eat a very high-fat diet and a high-sugar diet at the same time.
There was these two girls on the radio the other day that I mean, they're twins or something, and they've got this big foodie thing going on about reducing sugar.
Sure.
And they're making things like black beans, like chocolatey thing, like black beans and stuff like that. And they were saying they are beginning to use lard and what's the other fat that they use? Butters and lards and stuff like that.
Yes.
And now coming back into fashion.
Yeah, because a lot of people want to promote this idea.
So it's a case
Yeah.
of...
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, this...
How hard did we fight for everyone to stop? Like, Grandad having lard and toast.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and cooking chips and lard and all this kind of thing. Yeah, and absolutely. And as far as I'm aware, and I'm not the scientific expert, but the science in that has been studied so much on the effect of saturated fat, its relationship to heart disease. It's been covered so many times from so many different angles. It's like climate change. Some people are just not going to believe it, regardless of the observations of the collection of scientists over the decades.
Promoting well-being and promoting good health, and I was thinking, is this just they found out that they were wrong back in the day?
Yeah.
Things like dripping and lard and
changing, isn't it?
Yeah.
What people believe is always changing.
now margarine's bad for you.
Well, what people believe is changing.
Gluten's the bad thing at the minute, whereas it's not the fact that they've taken all the goodness out of the bread and put loads of rubbish back in and fruit flavours. They're just blaming it all on the gluten. It's not gluten.
Yeah.
That's what they've done to everything. It's a white bread, white sliced bread that you get. There's nothing
But
like
they're
bread.
taking gluten out of the loaf of bread and putting it in beer. That's what it means.
Well, my friend Tim Van Orden I was speaking about earlier on, he has a phrase where he talks about in supermarkets there's produce and there's products, and the difference is the letter H. He says produce is for self-preservation and products are for shelf preservation. So I would always, I think it's really simple. Go towards the fresh fruits and vegetables, go towards more of that, and no one really tends to have a problem with that. Maybe some people do have problems with gluten. I've met people I met one girl who nearly died apparently because of a gluten issue. She couldn't, it was destroying her this is kind of a rare thing, but it was really affecting her digestive system, and she wasn't able to take in food. Her food wasn't getting taken into her body, so she was getting really, really thin, and she was basically going to die, and everyone thought she was anorexic, and she couldn't get doctors to listen to her and everything else, but she went towards a raw vegan lifestyle and go back to her health. So it's always the way of going back to what's part of our what I believe is our natural diet, what's part of our heritage really as a species, a species-specific diet of fruits and vegetables. So,
around the corner from my house, there's all these little old ladies who get their blankets out and sell all this stuff coming from the and I was like, look at me, I'm just eating totally, my mate's going to say, well, that makes you think it's organic.
Yeah.
No rules or
That's true,
regulations about any of the pesticides. These little old ladies go down the markets and they spray them with everything.
Yeah.
Just because they're sat on a blanket with the food and stuff doesn't mean
yes.
it's actually very good.
Yeah, absolutely. You never know.
It's probably full of things we banned 20 years ago.
Yeah.
On the spraying on it.
What is your opinion about organic versus non-organic? Would you always buy organic if you can, that kind of thing?
If it was possible, and if there was I suppose I would. But generally I look at what looks tastiest, to be honest. And when I've looked into things or heard people talk about it, the organic side, definitely in an ethical sense, those chemicals are damaging. But if you look at other food and other things that people are eating, they're much more damaging than some pesticides that might have a trace on fruit, and it's a very small trace. So I've had people that, if I offer them strawberries, they ask if it's organic or not, and yet they're eating junk food and everything else. So they're not bothered about that, but they're worried about pesticides. So people have a lot of weird, irrational reasons for doing. Yeah, but these things are very. We kind of have this dark idea sometimes that there's this conspiracy and all this bad stuff's getting added to our food, but those industries are very regulated, and the truth is, if you try and create that amount of food at that level, at that scale of feeding billions of people, it's really hard to do it, I think, at the moment without the fertilizers, without these kind of things, these pesticides. And so if you try and just grow some food in your own garden, you realise very quickly how annoying it is when the slugs eat all of it or whatever else. So there's a balance there where you have to say, I would say if you can get organic, it probably is better. Is it dramatically better for your own health? I don't think it's hugely better. I don't think it's hugely different. I think the difference is in the environment and how it affects things like that. But the trace, I don't think there's not a lot of a trace left, and it's a very small amount, and it's designed for killing small pests. It's like caffeine can be used as a pesticide. You can put caffeine on your plants and everything, and it'll stop pests from eating them, because of that dosage of caffeine for their size is a killer. For us it's not a killer, but it is very stimulating as well. So I don't think those things are as damaging to people And I think the more damaging thing is if someone resists eating fruits and vegetables because they think there's pesticides on it and prefers to eat processed food and everything else that at the same time has pesticides in it, but we justify things to ourselves, and that's how things work. But I hope you got something out of this. I'm glad you came in, and I've enjoyed spending some time with you. So if any other questions, I'll be at that health hub. There's another place that I've got a little stall at the health hub up here. If you can stay in touch with our website, fruitfest.co.uk, we've got a little film there you might want to watch, and you can leave your email address if you like. And I would love it if you share it with other people and let other people know. And you can follow us if you're on Facebook and everything else. So thanks a lot for coming. Thank you.